Hi, I'm Matt from Public Sector Personnel Consultants. Thank you for joining us on a quick overview of the district-wide classification and compensation study that our firm has been selected to assist with. As the name of our firm suggests, this is all that we do. We do classification and compensation studies for cities, for counties, for colleges and universities and special districts throughout the United States. We do probably 50 studies a year, quite a few projects that we've done in California for various special districts and for quite a few cities in your area. All that qualifies us to do is ask good questions, such as what factors influence the district's ability to recruit and to retain staff. What happens when we post a vacant position? Are we successful in getting and keeping qualified staff? The study that we're about to embark on can really be broken into two major phases. We wanted to highlight specifically your opportunities to participate, specifically in a job questionnaire. Before we do that, just a couple of other notes on this slide that are very notable. This is something that the district wants to do for you, not to you. We're just an objective third party trying to provide accurate documentation to allow the district to make strategic decisions about competitive pay, equitable and accurate job descriptions. Nothing that we propose supersedes the budget process, any bargaining process if there is one. It is not a staffing review. It is not a performance review, nor is it typically the method by which everyone receives a salary adjustment. There's no real history, I believe, of the district having done a study like this before. Certainly, I would hope that you do the budget every year. Maybe you have a collective bargaining agreement and you do a negotiations every year, every 2 or 3 years. So to have no history of having done a study, I'm hopeful that what comes across is that the intent is to supplement what you typically do, not replace, right? So we're not replacing the budget, we're not replacing bargaining. But it's very important too, I think, that you understand when we do the survey, which we'll talk about in just a couple of slides, the results of the survey will vary job by job. It is the job that we're studying, not the individual. It is not the intent for any salaries to be reduced or for anybody to go backwards, as a result of the exercise. But we do want to make sure the job description is up to date, that your job title makes sense based on the duties that you perform, and that your salary range is competitive to allow the organization to both retain current employees and recruit new employees. The classification piece, just like it sounds, is the review of job descriptions and the review of job titles. You're going to have a questionnaire. You'll have a couple of weeks to work on that questionnaire. It will take an hour. Try not to take more than 2 hours on the questionnaire. I have screenshots of that document that I will share here very quickly. And then you'll see an email that will go out, and that email will give you some additional instructions, let you click on a link to start a new questionnaire. So we'll get into that in a lot of detail. The questionnaire allows us to, like I said, review job titles. There's 15 or 20 different job titles in the district currently. We'll review any proposed changes with whoever the stakeholders are to ensure that we've accurately interpreted the documentation. Nobody will change what you as an employee put on the questionnaire. The process by which will facilitate this allows for every employee to fill out a questionnaire. You can fill one out individually or as part of a group. If there are 5 or 10 of you with the same job title, but you perform different job duties and you feel it is important or more accurate to fill out your own questionnaire, please do so. What I'm sharing will be screenshots from the online version of the questionnaire. It is also available in hard copy and as a Word document. So if you're not comfortable filling it in on the computer and you prefer to fill it in longhand, or if you want to work on it as a group and have one person write it up, we will take those questionnaires however we can get them. You will complete that questionnaire. You will get a copy of that questionnaire. Nobody will change your questionnaire. There is a review and sign-off page for supervisors to at least acknowledge, hey, I read the questionnaire. Here's my signature. We're not looking for anybody to change what we get back on the questionnaires, but it is critical information because it gives us the content that we need if we update job descriptions, and probably where it's more interesting when we do a salary survey. We will try to compare your jobs to as many other relevant local and regional employers as possible. These could be other special districts like water, sewer, and trash companies. This could include, the city, if there's a nearby city or two, a county or two, the private sector. We're going to build a salary survey from scratch, and we're going to make those job matches not on job title, but on what you give us on those questionnaires for job content and for job duties. The comparators typically are selected based on where we get employees from or where we might be losing employees to. And then logically, any agency that might have jobs and services similar to ours. There's no such thing as a perfect match, but what we are trying to do is answer two big questions. The first is, how are we doing compared to those we're competing with? When we look at wages, when we look at benefits, are we competitive? Are we at average? Are we ahead of average? Are we behind average? The follow-up question is a philosophical one, a strategic one, and a budget question. And that is, where do we want to be, or where do we need to be in order to recruit and in order to retain staff? So it would be our hope that the data can be used to answer those two questions, whether that's part of bargaining, part of budget. We'll certainly play our part in hopefully bringing accurate information. The PAQ process, as I mentioned, all employees will see an email. That email will have a link in it that allows you to start a new PAQ, position analysis questionnaire. That will be the only time that you will use that first link that comes in an email. If you get 2 or 3 pages in and you get interrupted, or you have to stop for a while and you choose to save and exit, the online system will send you an email to pick back up where you left off. So when that initial email goes out, introducing the study, introducing the link to start a new PAQ, start a new PAQ. That is the only time you'll use that link. You will get a different link if you save at some point and continue later, and you'll see what that looks like in just a moment. Again, you can work on these as a group. You can tag friends and say, hey, the 8 of us got together. Please use this one questionnaire for all of our 8 people, for our job description, for our salary range recommendation. Your supervisor will get a PDF of that questionnaire, but will not be able to change it. You will also get a PDF of that questionnaire into your inbox if you do an online version. If you choose to fill it out in longhand, keep a copy of your questionnaire and turn that into your supervisor or manager by September 5th. The online version, as I said, will generate a PDF into your email inbox, and your supervisor will be notified, hey, you've completed a questionnaire. Click here to sign off. There could be comments that are added. Typically, it is something that there are job duties that we perform less frequently, so we might have forgotten a job duty or two. We want to ensure that your job description and your questionnaire covers kind of that full spectrum of assigned job duties. So if you forgot anything, really just looking for a second set of eyes. Department heads or managers, supervisors, whoever reviews the questionnaires will have until September 15th to complete the supervisory review portion of that questionnaire. I have a couple of screenshots of the PAQ. When you begin a new PAQ, each page also has brief video with it so that you'll see what we're looking for. The first page is just housekeeping. You will find yourself on a drop-down. You can look by department, by name, by job title. You should be able to find yourself, and what will populate then is your email address, your supervisor's name, your supervisor's email address. If any of that information is not correct, you'll see on the bottom of this page, hey, click here. It will take you to page 2, and you can input any updates that you need, your job title, your email address, your name, your supervisor's name, and email address. If you're working on the PAQ as a group, again, you can tag your friends. You will see as we navigate through, there is a next button. That is going to be a little bit different than the save and exit button. But since this is online, try not to use your browser forward and backward tab. Use what's navigating here. So the blue box for next gets me to that next page. And then in another page, you'll see a save and exit option. If you're doing a group questionnaire, you can start typing somebody's name and it will populate. That way we know that the folks that you're tagging are performing the same job duties as you, and we're okay to classify you all onto the same job description. The first section is kind of a high-level summary of the position. When you describe your job to somebody in 2 or 3 sentences, or if somebody asks you in an elevator, hey, what do you do for a living? What do you tell them? Think for a moment about who receives the services that you're providing. Maybe you're out in the field or you have direct contact with customers, with users of your services, and you're kind of frontline. You're out there performing job duties, for somebody that receives those services, whatever that might look like. Maybe you're back of house supporting those that do have that frontline contact with customers, with residents, with service recipients. There's another question in here. We're not asking you to do our job for us, but a lot of times you're very aware of similar jobs out in the market. If there's a different job title that we should be looking at or a different job description when we go to look in the market for your position, and you're aware of, hey, I know somebody does my exact same work over at Arrowhead or wherever, list that out for us if you want to make some notes. Again, you'll start to see the back and the next button. Please navigate through the questionnaire using those. The next page will be a blank page where we want you to fill in the job duties that you perform while you're at work. On the paper version, you'll notice there's 8 boxes. We're not suggesting that you only perform 8 job duties. If you want to tell us about 8 job duties, or if you want to tell us about 18 job duties, you can add additional information, you can add additional pages. There is no text limit to the size of these boxes or the amount of data that goes in to these boxes. What we are looking for is content that will help us build the body of a job description. A lot of times they are action statements. Now, this is not a writing contest. But what I mean by action statements is, hey, 10% of my time, I'm operating a specialized piece of equipment to build and repair a drainage ditch or a street surface or a curb, or I'm sitting at a counter, assisting customers with setting up or closing an account. It's a very active voice, right? We're describing tasks that we're performing, maybe a little bit of why we're performing that task. We're not necessarily, thinking that this will always add up to 100% of your time. But if you do want to organize your thoughts on this page from either the most frequent duties to the least frequent duties, or what you feel are the most important job duties to lesser important job duties, again, you can break this into 8 different tasks, 18 different tasks, whatever you want to tell us about that you feel is important that lands on the body of your job description, please do that. What you'll also notice on the bottom, or excuse me, on the top of this screen in the gray bar, save and continue later. So if you start writing down job duties here, we're really only about a page in on the questionnaire. But if you get interrupted, or you need to pick up later, or you want to look back and reference your current job description, you could probably leave it up on your browser. But if you want to save and continue later, if you click that up top, it will probably exit. What will happen then is you'll get another email from the survey system that says, hey, click on this link to pick up where you left off. So do not panic. Your work is not lost. Just don't go back to the very first link when we said create a PAQ. Go to the latest link that is in your email inbox. So we will make sure that emails from the system are added to the safe list. So if you need to, check spam, but hopefully we avoid the spam folder or the trash folder, and those kind of updates are where we left off. That link comes right into your email inbox. If we've successfully written down tasks that we perform, the next section, tell us what you have to know and what you have to be good at in order to perform your job duties. Do you have to have skill in safely operating a piece of equipment? Do you have to have knowledge of safety procedures if we're working out at a job site and we have to divert traffic, or we have to be aware of people moving around for safety, that kind of thing? Do you have to have time management skills, customer service skills, communication skills? And then are there owner manuals, trades manuals, desk manuals, procedure manuals that you reference on a regular basis that help either describe what you do and how you do it, or that you reference on a regular basis? So knowledge and skills, many sources of information that you regularly reference to perform your job duties. Again, that save and continue later button becomes an option. The next section goes fairly quickly, but when we start thinking about the next piece of a job description, the next section is typically minimum qualifications: education, experience, certifications, licensures. Does your job require a high school diploma and a couple of years of trade school or very specialized construction experience or accounting experience? Is your job one that requires maybe a 2-year degree and a couple of years of experience? So list that out. Are there any licenses or certifications that you have to have, hold, get within 6 months or a year from the date of hire? List those out. There's a section here that continues. It's a little bit missing from my screenshot, but physically, in order to perform your job duties, are you doing a lot of standing, lifting, climbing, bending, carrying, driving? Physically, what must you be capable of in order to perform your job duties? So education, experience, licenses and certifications, physical and environmental. The other piece to that is, are you working out of doors? Are you exposed to any potential for physical harm? Standing water, hazardous chemicals, infectious disease, list those out as well. The next section, we change topics just a little bit. How do you receive your work instructions? When you arrive at work every morning, is there somebody that greets you at the door and gives you step-by-step instructions on what to do and how to do it? Probably not, but are there very specific or detailed instructions and guidelines for your work? Do you have a little bit of autonomy in what you work on and how you work on it? And maybe you have projects that take weeks or months and you get to decide how to complete that project. How are priorities and deadlines established? If there's a major weather event, does that mean that we drop everything and we're tasked now with, rehab, recovery, reaction to a major weather event? Do you have any latitude in decision of what you're working on? Do you work maybe out in the field when your supervisor works in an office? How often do you come together? Is that supervisor somebody that you interact with regularly? Describe kind of the nature and the purpose of that interaction. Are there decisions that you're making? Are there things that require your signature? List those out. So under level of authority and accountability, is there anything that you're signing off on where your supervisor or manager allows you to make those decisions? Again, the save and continue later button pops up for that page. Are there decisions that you can't make? They do require approval or sign off from a supervisor or from a manager. List those out. What are the most difficult or important decisions that you make? Are there significant decisions that could impact and create a liability for the district, the safety of your coworkers, the safety of the public? So list out, any really difficult or important decisions that you make. And then lastly, who do you interact with in the course of performing your job duties? Are you interacting with other departments and divisions around the district? Are you interacting with residents, citizens, customers, vendors, suppliers, anything like that, other public or private agencies? Describe the nature of any interaction that you have. If we forgot to ask anything, or there's any other information that you'd like to share with us, we left a blank box there. If you are a leader of others, there's also an opportunity to indicate, hey, I do have supervisory responsibilities, or I oversee the work of some contractors. If that's a yes, we have one more page for you. So if you select yes and hit the next button, there will be a page that will pop up that allows you to write down maybe who and how many people report to you. If you're responsible for a big contract, give us the idea of the size, the dollar amount. Maybe the district does contract out some things, but you're responsible for inspecting that work, signing off on that work, approving payment to a vendor. Let us know about that. And then if you are responsible for people, maybe you don't have the final say when it comes to hiring, firing, discipline, but does your supervisor or manager rely pretty heavily on your input? So there's some click the box there between the different responsibilities or supervisory authority and actions that you might be taking. One more next button for you. You can sign. If you're doing it on a tablet, you can drag your fingers across it, but you can drag your mouse. It's never quite pretty, but you can type in your name. Once you say, hey, yes, I'm done, click next. You're going to be finished. Your questionnaire will go to your inbox so that you have a copy of it, and your supervisor will then get an email that says, hey, one of your employees completed the questionnaire. Please do this by this date. Please do this by this date. So there'll be emails that'll be generated from the system so that you keep a copy of your questionnaire, and then supervisory or management review happens kind of just right after that. As a PDF, again, nobody is to change the questionnaire. We have some room, obviously, to do some follow-up as far as questions go, some good two-way dialogue with incumbents from each job. So if we do have some follow-up questions, we've got some room within this process. Our only goal is to get it right. But again, review jobs, update job descriptions, conduct a compensation study, determine where the district is at, and then help model out where the district might wish to be, depending on a stage of philosophy or goal. This will be about a 90 to 120 day process. We'll see if we can't get done by the end of the calendar year. Again, some key dates: September 5th for employees to complete a questionnaire, September 15th for supervisors and departments to have signed off. That is it for my screen share and pretty much it for our presentation. I really appreciate your time and the attention that you pay to the questionnaire. And that document flows into job description writing, pay range recommendations, the ultimate kind of quality of our study findings and recommendations will be largely influenced by the content that we're able to get back from that questionnaire. Again, thank you for your time. I look forward to meeting as many of you as possible through this process. Our staff will be working hard to stay on task and on time. So yeah, good luck with the questionnaire, and thank you again for your time.